Welcome to Talking Galactic, where Joyce and Lane Keller deliver real-time, real-world tools to help us out of the manipulated programming and connect to our divine purpose. They do this with the help of master teachers who are actively working to help humanity. Let the demystification of abstract concepts and astral wisdom heal you of disillusionment, inaction, limiting mindsets, and release you from the matrix stronghold.
Hello, Joyce. Welcome back to Talking Galactic, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all. And you, Joyce, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Everything is fine. The whole country, actually the whole world is hot. At least half of the world. Half of it is experiencing winter, I believe, but this
indeed.
hemisphere is hot.
We're going to have a quick show tonight or today, depending where you are when you're listening to this, but we're having a quick show because we're actually getting ready to get on the road, and we're both a little pressed for time at the moment, but also because we have big things planned. Joyce, Ma, do you remember what happened on our road trip to Atlanta a few years ago?
No,
'Cause
please
you
refresh
go,
our memories.
and the reason you don't remember is because you go out of body. And so I had the divine pleasure of riding not just with my mom, but Kuan Yin. She was there a long time.
Oh, yes, I remember Kuan Yin came in. She's the magnificent goddess. She is so helpful to so many people. And actually, she's a mother goddess. She's wonderful. I remember it. But was I driving at the time, or were you driving?
No. And the thing is, you caught me unaware, and I didn't have my recorder going. And I think my phone may have been broken, but I'm not going to let that happen again. So we'll see what transpires, because we're going to have a nice long trip. So we could have any number of visitors. What do you think?
I think they're already here, and they're very excited about our little trip. Could I just say a couple of things that have to
Please.
do with preparation?
Of course you can.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you remember going to Las Vegas, Lane, when you were about 8 years old, but at that time, Lake Mead was filled with boats. It was beautiful. It was by the Hoover Dam, and it was wonderful. So now I understand that I haven't been there, but it's dried up. And of course, there are no boats on it. But what I saw when I was channeling is that there needs to be repair work done on the Hoover Dam, which is not being done. And there's a serious, I don't know if it's a fault or what it is, but the Hoover Dam really needs repair. That whole area is in need of help.
Yes.
And there's a problem that if the Hoover Dam doesn't do what it's supposed to do, which is to protect the area going through the Colorado River and Lake Mead and the whole Nevada, Arizona area, if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, it's going to cause tremendous water shortages and floods, and it's not going to be good. So that needs to be addressed. And I'm not a prophet of doom. I do want to say, though, that I have good news and bad news. I'll say that the Eiffel Tower needs special protection. That needs to be prayed for because it's so beautiful. I haven't been there. Lane, have you ever been to the Eiffel Tower?
Yes, once. It's magnificent.
So that needs special prayer and protection because it seems like a lot of structures that we really love are under attack. But the Hoover Dam, as well as the Eiffel Tower. And I also wanted to give some good news, in my opinion, is that Trump will be running again and probably win. But I don't know if he doesn't protect his health, he may not finish the term. But as you can see, Biden is probably on his way out.
They said he had COVID, so that's just their way of saying he's about to die, right?
Well, I wouldn't say right, but I'm not going to address that because I don't like to do death. But let's say that there's a lot of confusion. Nobody really quite knows what to do because there are a group of people who are not well organized and they don't have the greater good of society in mind. So you have a situation like this where you actually have a serious problem. Biden's ratings are like somewhere around 20% or like a really diehard.
I'm surprised he has.
I'm being generous. I was being kind.
I know you are.
So that's all I have to say.
Wait, hold on a second. This is important. Energetically, we need to reverse the damage that's being done to these sites in a deliberate
Yes.
attempt to destroy not just our heritage, but our water supply, our food supply, and our love for these structures, a reverence. We enjoyed Lake Mead so much.
It
And
was
Eiffel
lovely.
Tower is exquisite, of course. It's an energetic hit as well as one that's designed to sink us deeper into this food deprivation scarcity thing we're headed to. So we need to reverse it energetically, correct? And pray and raise the vibration around that and raise shields of protection. What's the best way to address the takedown of these monuments and these structures, this infrastructure that's so important to our survival?
The planetary vibrations hopefully are increasing and raising. And as there's a greater awareness, as we're doing now, we're bringing awareness to the populace that the greater awareness you have, the less chance that it will actually happen. I don't know if that makes any sense, but if you
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
we're raising awareness, increase your vibration, increase your sensitivity of what we're actually doing on the planet. Don't destroy Mother Earth. Be nice to one another. Keep the vibrations high. Smile, even if you don't feel like it. Laugh and joke. I know a lot of people who have cancer, I make them laugh. And I tell them jokes, I tell them funny things. And they say, when I called you, I was so depressed, I had chemo, and you made me laugh. I said, you're not going
Aw.
to die. You're going to be fine. Don't worry. We'll laugh. I tell them funny things. I make them laugh. It's really important that you keep your vibrations up and you laugh and you joke, even if you don't feel like it. So they in chemo wards, they come around with cookies and
Right.
soda or juices and should not be having sugar. It's really distressing to me because I'm dealing with a lot of people who are
How's
ill,
your friend that's having a hard time right now?
having a hard time.
Is she still not listening to you? Okay. She's opting for completely conventional treatment and is ignoring the fact that emotions have something to do with our physical state.
In answer to that, I would say I put Louise Hay to her lap and I said, please, years ago, we were all involved with Louise Hay. Go back to Louise Hay again about
And
the emotional cause. She did that. She said she could have been right, that there's a definite link between the emotions and illness.
that's a good change. So you received information this week about potatoes, right?
Yes, potatoes apparently are easy to grow and easy to keep, and they will
Wow.
sustain life. And look what happened to Ireland when England wanted to destroy so much of the Irish society. They took away their potatoes. I'm not a big fan of potatoes because they put on weight, but you know what? If you're starving, you'll be thrilled to have potatoes. So
Right.
try to grow your own. And I honestly don't know what's involved in growing potatoes.
Good, because they grow underground, so they're deer safe, so the critters can't get to them as easily. From what I know, which is very little, they grow in a harsher climate. But what happened
And
during the potato famine in Ireland? Didn't the potatoes all go bad? It was an infestation of some sort of fungus that got into the potatoes, and basically they all starved to death because that was their main food. That was their staple.
but like with many difficulties on the planet, that was deliberately done, a deliberate attempt to destroy. So we have to
Yeah.
acknowledge that we don't just have goodness on the planet, there's light and dark.
Okay. So any other information that you received this week or anyone here that wants to impart information?
Going back to the Hoover Dam, I think that's the primary concern for the United States at this time. And the fact is, we're getting huge wake-up calls. You suddenly have a mud hole where we had a beautiful lake, and the whole thing is just not environmentally correct.
So what visitors do we have right now? Does anyone wish to speak or share anything?
Yes, it's so funny. Edison was here
Ah.
before, and he said he's getting a raw deal.
Oh, talk to us. Hello. Hello, Mr. Edison. We're happy to have you. And we're more than willing to listen to your story and to share the correct version. So please share.
Like we mentioned him last time we were together and we dealt him a low blow, which he probably deserves.
Oh,
He's acknowledging that he deserved it because the correct credit was not given to Tesla. So there was a lot of guilt for many people to share. But he
oh,
was noble, very noble in stepping forward and saying, I do apologize and I acknowledge. Because you know what? When we pass over into the afterlife dimension, the most important thing is for us to acknowledge where we went wrong
mm,
and to apologize if necessary, or to make it right, to at least have that awareness. So a lot of people now are crossing over, and they realize that they were so afraid of death, and there's no reason to be afraid. So that's one of the messages that your teachers, particularly Elaine, are bringing forward. They're talking about the importance of learning about what actually happens while we're in a physical body, and not being so enamored of the physical body that we just hang on to it and hang on to it, and it becomes more and more decrepit. But at a certain point, let it go and go into a higher, better dimension.
How are we not letting it go?
Because people are walking around with oxygen tanks attached to them. People
I
are
see.
taking all kinds of procedures to keep life going, sustaining life. At a certain point, say bye-bye.
Yes. And then sometimes you say bye-bye and you're still here.
If you really want to go, you do go. A lot of people are choosing to go now. And
see.
as the energy and the awareness increases, that they don't have to be afraid, they are going. It's the fear that keeps people here. It's religion primarily that keeps people here, believing that this is the end all and the be all, and you go to hell, you go to heaven. Raise your vibration, raise your awareness of what we're actually talking about.
Okay. Thank you. What else would Thomas Edison like us to know?
Apologized, and he said his guides helped him with the light bulb and certain things that he contributed to society. But he said more credit was given to him than he really deserved. So
I really appreciate that. And hey, who hasn't taken credit sometimes when it wasn't meant to be yours? We have to learn. We learn it's wrong. Do unto others. So you can't beat yourself up over it. The idea here is growth and understanding, right?
Yes.
Hey, before we have Edison here and maybe Tesla, I just heard today that Nikola Tesla did not die alone in the New Yorker hotel, but rather he was taken out by a car accident, a car driven at high speed and was an execution.
He's indicating he's going like this with his head. He's indicating that that's not true. He doesn't have an awareness of that. That doesn't mean that didn't happen, because a lot of times we have accidents and we do not remember. We don't know. Even when we cross over, it's blocked from our memories. There's a lot of wiping out. So it's possible he just doesn't know. But he says, no, he said, I gave it to you the way I believed it to be true, which doesn't mean that your version of it is not correct.
Oh, sure. And I'm not contradicting anything he said. Just the fact that this new information came to light could be true, could be false. You don't know. I know what you're saying is true, that we only hold cognition of certain events, and it may be completely false. So I just wanted to know what he said about it. Or sometimes truth is withheld because those here on planet Earth can't handle it.
That's right.
So
But
it's given to us in different forms, and things contradict each other.
he said he basically starved to death, and he doesn't have any recognition of a car accident.
I don't even know why they would bother. The poor man was already ill and alone and hamstrung in what he could do. So much was stolen and diverted. What harm was he at that point?
Exactly.
What were they afraid of? That he was going to invent something else miraculous that they could steal? It didn't make sense to me, but that doesn't mean that they aren't hell-bent on removing anything good from the planet.
I wanted to tell you, speaking of that, Ivana went over.
Yeah.
She's doing fabulously well, and people did not know her at all.
Is she in contact?
Slightly. I'll tell you, she's getting used to it, but she was in seclusion for a long time and very afraid. She was going into a period of extreme withdrawal and becoming too reclusive and pressed. But what she's saying is that now that she has crossed over, she has joy that she didn't have here when she was on the earth, because she was living in a place of being afraid of being sick, being afraid of going out, being afraid of being recognized, being afraid of pushed over. I don't think she was killed. I think it was a real death, and it was a death by fear. Like, she was filled with a lot of fear, which she doesn't have now. Now she's in a glorious place. So when we cross over, allow that glory to happen. I'm dealing with so many people who are holding on to those who have crossed over. If I had one thing to say to people who are grieving, is stop. Don't do that. Stop grieving as soon as you can. It's not helpful to those who cross over. Like Ivana, because her children had learned to, I don't want to say disconnect, but they weren't holding on to her so emotionally. They had their own lives. They said, oh, their mother's doing fine. She has money. She's fine. So she was very much on her own. So she didn't have the pull down to the earth that a lot of people experience. Her guides took her very quickly and easily.
So anything else breaking? There's so many red herrings out there trying to divert us from the truth of what's really going on, the migrant situation. It goes on and on. The whole BlackRock with this whole, and this is only the tip of the iceberg with BlackRock, $1.7 trillion of the client's money. Then there's the whole Gideon papers. Are you familiar with that? Maybe we can talk about it on our road trip. Gideon is a code name for somebody who's in connection with these hackers that hacked into the quote unquote sovereign account in which the elite name themselves as sovereign. And in the financial reset, that you've heard a little bit about in the news with Bill effing Gates and company talking about this great reset and also this universal basic income where everyone gets $1,000 a month. What that means is they are planning, and now these are the documents that were hacked, and they are planning to take away all our funds. They started in China. They locked down the banks this week and have tanks guarding the bank. So no money. They said all your money's ours. So that's what they're planning universally. They're just rolling it out there first. Trying to get rid of our guns is part of it. Automatic weapons are up for removal too this week. Something's going up for a vote. Going back to the Gideon documents. So they plan on taking every cent we have, everything we own, and putting us on a universal income of $1,000 a month and putting you on a digital currency, as we've discussed in the past. That is the end game. Once that happens, it's done. So they put you on a digital allotment, which means if you step out of line, even the slightest, they will shut down your ability to buy food, transport yourself, etc. So these are the documents. Now, the question I have for our astral panel and yourself, Ma, is, are these documents real? Because they name not just members of the elite that you would expect on there, and I use the term elite sarcastically, but they have quite a number of truth teller types, people that actually we think are good. So it could be a whole psyop to A, increase fear, B, have us distrust those sources that we do trust. Not trust is you know what I'm saying. It could be a ruse to get us to discount what truth tellers are saying, or it could be completely legit. Even if it is legit, we have to stop it. We have to stop it energetically, and we will. But I'm just curious to know if anyone has anything to say about that.
Bottom line, I don't know what that question was. That's fine, but that was more of an explanation question.
The longest question ever. Yes. Okay. So the question is.
No, wait a second. No, wait. Hold on.
I'm so sorry. There's a lot that just came out there.
That was terrific. I was so enthralled. But okay, I wanted to say Bitcoins are very important, and potatoes, because even if they shut down the food supply, that's what we were talking about before, you will still have food.
Let's talk about cryptocurrency then. Then we will have to wrap this up, and let's continue this discussion. Okay. But for now, are you saying that cryptocurrencies are going to be viable? Because right now they are in the trash heap.
I know. At a certain point, and I don't know about this, and the reason predictions are impossible is that human consciousness will change predictions. So it could be everything we're saying is wrong. Prophecy is usually right, but predictions are iffy. The way it stands right now, if what you're saying is correct, Elaine, Bitcoins will be very important.
One would think, but they control those too. And when
Yes.
you say Bitcoin, you need to be very specific here. Bitcoin is not the same as cryptocurrency. It is a cryptocurrency, but it's just one of many. So when you say Bitcoin, do you really mean Bitcoin, or do you mean cryptos in general?
Okay, and again, I'm probably wrong. I'm going to say Bitcoin.
So you're getting that Bitcoin itself is going to be
Yes.
a good place to be.
And please ignore that completely, but I believe that it's true.
All right, because I can bring a list in the car when we're together, and we can go down and see what you feel.
That is scary.
Okay, you can just give it a feeling, or maybe our friend.
I don't want that kind of responsibility.
All right, well, we don't have to do that. All right, I don't want to put that much pressure on you.
I need a vacation.
All right.
I was
Well,
hoping that
this is important because we're talking about the survival of the human race.
I know. I was thinking we would stop on the side of the road at a lovely lake and put our feet in. That's
Yes,
more
we
of
will do that. Let's do that too.
it's all right. I live to work.
Look, this is like setting up the road trip because you know what? Once we pose these questions, they're going to come in with answers. That's how it works. And even though you say we're going to put our feet in the water, which we will hopefully find a body of water somewhere, where I'm not sure. But what I was going to say is that they generally do come forward with answers. So we'll field that question later. And then the Gideon material, without going into any more detail for now, do we get is it truthful or is it false?
The problem with the Gideon material is that it's correct, but at a certain point, we've had this discussion so many times, the ascended masters say, I think we can interfere here. They have to be very careful about the way they interfere with our free will. So at a certain point, they will say, this looks really bad, and they will put a stop to it, which is why predictions are impossible. So in answer to your question about the Gideon material, they're going full steam ahead with it, the way they are with, oh, Elaine, I forgot what that's called.
Crypto?
What happened? I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that very bad thing in the sky. I can't think of the name.
Stern?
Oh, say it again.
Stern?
Yes. Okay, they had to put a stop to that as much
Oh,
as they
good for
could, but it's
them.
still.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
but you see,
astral
that
teachers
some of
and
it can't be controlled. The word sharing just went out of my mind because I was thinking of the road trip and Gideon. So it's like there are too many things in too short a period of time. So that's all I would say.
Okay.
The same thing that happened with CERN, where it is definitely very bad and invasive, but they were able to stop it to a certain degree. The same thing applies to the Gideon material.
That makes perfect sense. And let's stop it there. We promised to pick these subjects back up next week when we're on the road. So probably in 2 weeks' time when our next show is due, we should have some good info for you. Or maybe we'll just do live feeds. We're not sure. So we're playing it by ear and we'll see what happens.
I think there's nothing on the web or anywhere that compares to what we're doing because it's so
No, I don't think so.
spontaneous
Yes, exactly.
and so accurate, hopefully, and helpful and from the heart. And I don't think we have an axe to grind.
No, we don't.
I do appreciate that very much.
I do too. And I agree with you. We don't have an agenda other than to disperse truth as best we can attain it and discern it.
It's very difficult to be 100% accurate, but I think we're out there trying. And remember, free will changes everything from minute to minute, along with the
Sure does.
interaction with higher consciousness and the
And-
ascended masters.
And prayer and asking for help, asking them to intercede with Lake Mead and Eiffel Tower and the droughts and the incredibly horrible weather conditions around the world and this Gideon fiasco. Let's ask them for help.
The more we ask, the more we'll get. So
right.
don't hesitate. And that applies on a personal level also. People who go around saying, I haven't had a job in 6 years.
Mm.
Why is this? And I said, you might really want to get down on your knees or whatever you can relate to and ask God to help you.
Yes. Speaking of that,
had-
one last thing. YouTube blocked our last show.
Oh
Shut us
no,
down.
it was so good. Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
it was good, and it is still out there. And I learned that YouTube absolutely has bots that listen as well as read your description. So I got shut down twice.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And then they took us offline completely for a week or so, whatever their YouTube jail is. Who cares? Because we're over in Brighteon and we're over on Spotify and Anchor. And we'll probably start some other stations as well. I'm not sure, possibly Rumble, possibly Odyssey. As much as we can do, we're really going to go after getting on as many platforms as possible. We do have an option to go on a platform that is paid. It's very good, but it would involve asking our guests to pay a monthly fee, and that we really don't want to do. But the platform itself is completely uncensored, and we would have a safe place to say anything we wanted. So that might be in our future, but right now, we're doing everything we can to keep it free. Just so you know, that platform costs them. So we would have to pay per viewer, which means then we'd have to ask the viewers to pay because we are completely out of pocket. We have no funds coming in from anywhere but our own selves right now. So there you go. That's just a summation, but all is well. And we're going to keep rolling out material to you. We're going to keep telling the truth.
We'll do the best we can, but that's very interesting.
Let's everyone be safe and happy, and we will see you very soon.
God bless us and keep us all. Thank you.
God bless us.
Love to all.
You've been listening to Talking Galactic with Joyce Keller and Lane Keller. To connect with Joyce and Lane, or to check out our other shows, head to lifesource.global. And don't forget, hit the like, subscribe and share buttons. This show has been brought to you by Source Light Productions.